Hello and welcome to another Gray Magnolias. This is going to be a doozy. It's only, I don't even know what day it is. I think it's May 7th or something like that. And I have finished so much in this first week of May. I feel so accomplished. I was gonna do a wrap up for April bookwise, but I literally only finished 3 books and I didn't feel it warranted. I did it like a separate book for a separate video for 2 of them, the Sandra Brown books. And then the like first couple days of May, I finished 2 other books because they were almost done. So I felt very accomplished. I've just been on top of it. I've been drawing and painting like crazy, and I'm really impressed and happy with some of the things that I finished. And I finished a knitted object who I can't even remember the last finished yarn item that I've done. And then I finished books. So this is going to be a big mashup of finished things. And I'm even going to share a cookie recipe that I can't stop thinking about it. I'll say. Okay, so I have a pretty hefty stack here of books that I have finished that I'm just kind of putting it into May. It is what it is. I'm going to go quickly over. I'll link down below my Sandra Brown video, like read along, reaction, marathon thing that I kind of spontaneously did of 2 books, but she is one of my new favorite authors. New to me, been around forever, has an extreme backlist, which I can't wait to get through at some point in my life. But I have these 2 gems on my, that's not the book. Oh no. Hold on. Aha. I apologize. I was like, that's not the book I read. So I first started off with Thursday's Child. It's a novella. Oh my goodness. So good. I really don't want to get like back into it, but Allison, loved her character. I mean, I kind of hated how much she put herself down. But she came up on top at the end. And then Sandra Brown loves a dark-haired, blue-eyed, just sensual man. Oh my god. So good. So she steps in for her identical twin sister, who's secretly getting a breast augmentation for her fiance. She goes out to dinner with her sister's fiance, and the fiance has his best friend with him. And the fiance falls in love with his fiance, like what he thinks is his best friend's fiance. Sounds like a hot mess. It is amazing. And that's like not the whole thing, thank God, because like that would have been annoying. And then it goes into them kind of like figuring do you really love me, or did you actually fall in love with my sister type of thing. It was hot, it was sweet, it was funny, it was so good. She was kind of like awkward, which I love those kind of female characters, and highly recommend for sure. And I ate this up. I could have eaten this up in a day, but it was like a day and a half. And then I was just kind of like awakened and like just discovered the beauty of Sandra Brown. Her writing is perfect. I've now read 3 of her books, and it just takes me away. It just has me like wanting to pick it up and read and read and read. And I feel like I haven't had that feeling in a long time. I used to, even with series that, right, there's different couples each book. I used to like read the first one and I would just finish the series. Like now, at least of some of the other like series like books that I've read, I don't care to continue on to the next one for whatever reason, even though the first one was good, right? I don't know, that's just been me. But anyway, so the next one, again, I'll be quick. Tempest and Eden. And this one is kind of, I guess, what you would call one of the original stepbrother, stepsister tropes. Not really. They're both like in their mid to late 20s, early 30s. But her mother remarries, and she goes away for a weekend to meet him and his son. And she's like, oh, okay. She catches him butt naked out of the shower, and she's like, hello. And he's like, how dare you? Like, closes the door. And then it's just this push and pull, and like, how come he doesn't notice me? I am hot. Like, what? and he reveals that he's a priest. What? This was priest before priest, but better. I'm sorry. Unpopular opinion. I did not like Priest by Sierra Simone. Not that I had a problem with it and it got the ick or anything like that. It was just cringy to me. Like I think it was the male main character. And I did not like, spoiler, I guess. I did not like how the female main character, it was her motive all along to seduce him out of his virtue. That just really rubbed me wrong, and she kind of like took on the label as the like SLUT, like the slut or whatever, which sends him into a spiral, and then she converts. I don't know, I don't know, I just did not like it. And then the schmexy stuff was just, it wasn't doing it for me. And there's some things that I'm just like, that does it for you? And I'm like, yes, it does. It does it for me. Do it for me. But this was the tension built up because so she's like that whole weekend she's trying to get him, and he's like, no, like what the heck, get away from me. So they go their separate ways. The summer passes. She can't stop thinking about him. She works in a like art exhibit gallery thing to sell art and things. He walks in. Oh my god, sorry. So good. And then it's just like their whole journey of, they're from two different paths, right? She is a artist slash nude model for artists, and he's a minister, and just kind of like, she feels like she can't fit into his world, and it's like, yes you can, I don't care what you do. And just her finding herself of like the two parts of her. You can watch the video that I did. I'm not sure how good I reviewed that either, because I just loved it. I loved it. It was beautifully written. And so this was a novella. This was like 170 pages. And more times than not, I'm like, I want more. I don't care if there's just already an epilogue. I want to know how they had breakfast. I want to know where they went on vacation. I want to know it all. But she writes so well, that I'm like, this is it. This is perfect. It just summed it up and didn't leave me, I don't know, I guess because it was just so well-rounded. It didn't leave me like wanting like a crap ton, or like fixing the camera ton more. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just, you have to read it. Yes, it's old school, but it is like, I was like, this is kind of really spicy. I would have to say it's almost, I just said like a 2.5, almost 3 chili spice level. A little bit closed door, but like enough that you like, oh, you know what happened in the end. You know what I'm saying? So good. Okay, and then, okay, so next up is, okay, I kind of was like totally hooked on Sandra Brown, but I don't want to finish reading what I have, so I went to the local library. My son got a shit ton of books that day, and I was like looking, and I found Sandra Brown, and I was like, let me get some. So I did. But this is her suspense. It's still romance, but it's more of the suspense like side or whatever. This was amazing. This is Envy, and so New York publisher Marissa Matherly Reed receives a tantalizing manuscript from someone identified only as PME. Its blockbuster potential and perhaps something else compels her to meet its author. On an eerie ruined cotton plantation on remote Georgia island, she finds Peter Evans, a man concealing his identity and his past. Marissa is drawn into his tale of two young friends and a deadly betrayal, and to Parker himself. But there's something especially chilling about this novel. Its possible connection to Marissa's own life and real-life character who uses her or anyone to get what he wants. This had me on the edge of my seat. Oh my god. It was like, it was a story in a story. It was just, I don't know, I'm so bad at this, like, I'm terrible at this, but it was just so good. It was just so good of like, you know, okay, so it starts off with the prologue she receives, right? And then here and there are chapters of this story, and you're just like, oh my god, this, and then this, and then there was one twist at the beginning that I did not guess at all. I was just like, oh, okay. And then, I mean, I'm just like slight spoiler. Someone died and I was like really sad, but he left a vengeance in his trail. He like wrapped it up, you know? Excuse me. Totally recommend it. Great writing, compelling, sucked you in. You wanted to like keep reading, keep reading, keep reading. Really, really, really good. Okay, and lastly, of books that I finished is Perfect by Judith McNaught. This is, I thrifted it. This is an old school cover compared to the new covers, which I actually went ahead and bought the first one of this like mini series. But it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. I I have never felt so much love develop and just grow, and it was perfect. It was perfect. I like there was the only thing that I didn't fully like, but I was okay with at the end was the reason why he turned his back on her, and like there was a rift in the relationship before they got back together. So then, see that if that makes any sense. That did not make any sense out loud, but you get what I mean. Like the conflict of they want to be together, they're about to be together, and then what happens, and I was just kind of like, oh no. But then it was like perfect. I mean, there couldn't be a more perfect title. And I think if I was in a different state of mind when I was reading this, I used to cry a ton when I was younger, like in the books that I read. I would have most definitely bawled my eyes out, for sure. This, let me read you the back of it. A rootless foster child, Julie Matheson, has blossomed under the love and showered upon her and by her adoptive family. Now a lovely and young woman, she was a respected teacher in her small Texas town and passionately lived her ideals. Julie was determined to give back all the kindness she received, nothing and no one would ever shatter the perfect life she had fashioned. Zachary Bennett was an actor slash director whose Academy Award winning career had shattered when he was wrongly convicted of murdering his wife. After tall, ruggedly handsome Zach escapes from a Texas prison, he abducts Julie and forced her to drive him to his Colorado mountain hideout. She was outraged, cautious, and able to ignore the instincts that whispered of his innocence. And he was cynical, wary, and increasingly attracted to her. Passion was about to capture them both in a fierce embrace, but the journey to trust, true commitment, and proving Zach's innocence was just the beginning. I don't even. So, like, a good chunk of this is them after, like, he kidnaps her, forces her to drive him to Colorado and all this stuff, and then just their chemistry and their banter and her kind of like, no, you ain't, her teacher coming out and all that stuff. And then him and just his inner struggles of what happened to him when he was younger, I can't even, it's so good. And when he professed his love to her, like, I tabbed that. I don't want to read it because I feel like that's kind of like a whole experience. Why did I tab that? Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm going to read this passage right here. I love you so much, Julie whispered fiercely. Don't do this to me, Julie. Her fingers loosened on the phone as she smiled because she suddenly sensed she was going to win. I can't stop, she said tentatively. I can't stop loving you. There's only one solution I'm willing to accept, and I gave it to you. Christ, that's not... Save your prayers for later, darling, she whispered teasingly. You're going to wear your knees out when I get there. As it is, praying I learn to cook better, praying I let you get some sleep at night for a change, praying I stop giving you babies. Oh, Julie, don't. God, don't. Don't what? He drew in a long, labored breath. He was quiet for so long she thought he wasn't going to reply. When he finally answered, the words sounded as if they were being wrenched from his chest. Don't ever stop loving me. God. Like, you read these like out of context, but when you're reading and you get to that point, it's like, stop. Oh my God. And then the letter, I guess I didn't tab that. Because he sends her a letter, and that was the most beautiful damn letter I've ever read. It was just great. I'm like getting like emotional, but, and it's not just, I said this in the last video I posted of like my little writing fiasco journey thing. But it's not just the love between them. It's the love she has between her parents, her siblings that are there, the siblings in their relationship, and Zach's friend's relationship, and, it's just beautiful. God, I think because there's like, people, write or like make, I guess these are reviews. I don't know, someone said that this was like the best depiction of love that they've ever read, and like couldn't be more true. It's so good. God, it's like a 5 out of 5. If I could, again, I'm not a huge rereader, but this would be up there, and just kind of, God, so beautiful. Sorry, I'm still recovering from this one. Okay, I just wanted to say, I forgot to mention, which was, I don't know, a huge, God, a huge element, I guess you could say, of Perfect by Judith McNaught was the was the issue of literacy amongst women. Like being illiterate and like lack of education at the time. I mean, that's still a problem today, but that is one of the biggest things throughout the whole story, and something really important to Julie, because she herself was illiterate at the age of 11 and 12. And I don't know, like now even thinking about it, like really moves me. And one of the things that she was so proud of was teaching 7 or 8 adult women in her community, that she just happened to come across. First, it started off with the janitor's wife, and that she knew 5 people who didn't know how to read or write, and she helped them in like an after school class setting, to learn how to read and write. And that was just so beautiful. And growing up with, like, books were my escape. I mean, I was a child of 10, but I always found myself alone a lot of the time. And if it wasn't for all the books that I've read, which was hundreds, maybe thousands of books at the time, I don't know what I would have done with myself. And especially now with the talk of defunding libraries and banning books and stuff like that, which is just horrific to even do. I mean, it's the 21st century. Like, come on. That just breaks my heart. And just reading that was just so moving, and just, you know how important it is to just be able to read, to be able to read a sign, to be able to read, because there's one part at the very beginning, she's a foster child, and she's about to talk to her psychiatrist that she was getting evaluated with and stuff, and she had to go to the bathroom, and all the stuff she had to do to try to just remember where was what, recognize a letter, and then to get back on time for her appointment, and to try to, and she also hid it. You know, a lot of these people, women and men, which I think more women, because, you know, even around the world in certain cultures and stuff like that, women aren't told to, like, hey, yeah, you gotta go to school and stuff. Most of them drop out as early as grade school, maybe even high school, but by then, you know, a lot of them miss school so much, right? To be home cooking, taking care of their younger siblings and stuff while their parents worked, and all of that. So it was just a really big plot point, and just storyline in the whole, not plot point, but storyline in the whole book. And it was just really beautiful, and just something to really think about. And even though that book, I think it was written late 80s, early 90s, I think, don't quote me on that. I'll maybe put here exactly when it was written, but it's still such a problem today. And now they're taking away books from children in schools. They're book banning, they're defunding libraries that provide so much more than just books. I mean, people go there to have internet access, people go there for assistance, because I know I've never used any of that stuff, but even my mother, I think, when she was becoming a citizen and stuff like that, she went to library programs where they were educating the immigrants and stuff. They were going there to learn about, you know, the American Constitution and all that stuff, to be able to take the test and shit. And they just want to take funding away from something that is essential to communities all over the United States, like more than I think most people even know. But it's also like a sanctuary and escape for people who goes through God knows what, children, adults, and stuff like that. But so I just wanted to put this little clip in there, that is another big thing talked about in the book, which was so moving and just like really made you think every time you were writing it, like reading it, and then like just really, you know, settled with my heart. Okay, I really enjoyed Spring Enchantment. It was quite different, especially with the whole ghost thing. Not what I expected it to be, but it was still quite enjoyable. The reason why I gave it a 3 out of 5 was it was really rushed in a lot of areas, and it was like the author was just expecting the reader to already know something, so there was some lack of flow in my opinion, but it was still really good, funny at times, just really quick pace and quite different than any historical romance I read. And I was actually hoping that it was the ghost was falling in love with the main female character, but still it was quite enjoyable. Okay, I loved Lethal. It was so gripping, had me on the edge of my seat, and it was like, what's gonna happen next? Who is it? And all the stuff. The only reason I gave it a 3-star because the happy ending was not what I wanted at all. Like, I mean, she does continue it on in a different book, but I'm not tempted enough to read it. And I guess spoiler warning, the two main characters don't end up together at the end of the book, which was just like, I don't think I've ever read a book that wasn't a happily ever after of sorts. So I was like pretty pissed. But overall, like it was, wow, like exactly what you expect from a romance suspense of Sandra Brown, kind of like twists and turns, and then who done it. I felt like it was really, really rushed through at the end. That's another reason why it's a 3 out of 5, but still it was quite an enjoyable read. So I highly recommend it. Besides the non-happy endings, if you can get past that, I guess. And the last book I read for May was Play Dirty, again by Sandra Brown. I went on a total binge of a lot of her books this past month, I think. And it was super good. A lot of twists and turns, a lot of action, enjoying your seat, like who did it, what is this, who's this bad guy, and all this stuff. And then the end was pretty wild. Her romance suspense, like it's more on the action suspense side, and romance is tied in. A couple times I haven't felt the chemistry connection when all of a sudden it's there. It's kind of weird. But it was a fun read. I'm not gonna lie, it was fun. Yeah, that's all I can say. It was fun. Okay, this video was gonna be something else, but now it's my May wrap up, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and comment down below. Follow, I would greatly appreciate it. The end of this video format's a little weird because my little was like, you is not gonna film anything at any point. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next one. Bye. I begin to